Wow. Then here we are.
Here we are, Claire.
Here we
Hello.
are. Season 6, episode 3. Uh-oh, wait a
Yes.
minute. I gotta mute my oh, I had a regular echo going on. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, this has been a day. I don't know about you, Kim, but episode 3. Hmm. Hmm.
It's a
I
hard
don't.
one.
It is very
It's
difficult.
very
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. That's all. Maybe we should just end the stream right there. I don't know. Everyone knows Kim and I are Brooker fans, right, Kim? I mean, there's no doubt about it. Like,
We're
there's not
probably
much.
some of the biggest.
Yeah, there's not much he can do to really upset us in any way. But true confession, I was yelling at that screen. I
I
was
heard you were.
screaming. I was screaming at Charlie Brooker. Brooker. I can't even say his name. I'm so upset. Uh,
He
I
broke
was.
you.
He broke me. This. You know what? I was not ready. And I hate to say that I get that like into it and everything, but I kind of really do. This
I do too.
affected me and I was not ready and I didn't want it. I feel violated, Charlie Brooker. Like I didn't ask for this. I did
I
not
know.
ask for this
I
kind
don't
of
think
trauma in my
any
life.
of us did.
Mm-mm.
I really don't.
Mm. It
Yeah, I was.
was. Yeah.
I was
Mhm.
taken to places that I had not been in a long time.
Yeah. Listen, it was dark. I'm going to say that. Anyone who
Very
hasn't seen
dark.
it, I'm going to actually. I don't usually do trigger warnings, right, Kim? I'm all about, use the language, deal with what's going on. Like,
Right.
let's just call it what it is.
And
I'm going
take
to put
care
a
of
trigger
yourself.
warning on this one. I'm going to say, take care of yourself. Be prepared. This is a total mind blowing,
Yeah.
just trauma ride. Okay. We're going to talk about the story, and we'll use the real language and everything like that. But if you do watch it, just be prepared. It's it's different from what you would expect to be a Black Mirror, and I understand some
It
of the
is.
criticism that's out there about it. Although I do respect Brooker's right to do what he wants, and he did say he was changing up this season. It was going to be totally
Uh-huh.
unexpected. I mean, and Kim has, Kim and I were talking, and she's listened to some interviews. Oh, and I do have one that I'm going to pop in the chart. Kim shared a podcast with me before the show, which I haven't got to listen to all of it, but at a minute six, at an hour 6 on this podcast through Spotify. First of all, they talk. It's called The Watch. They go over like a lot of like current shows and stuff like that. But they also went
Yeah.
over The Bear, which is another really good show if you're
I love
watching
the
it.
bear.
They do
Love the
some
bear.
commentary on that. It's a pretty good series. But at an hour 6, Brooker comes on. He talks to them for a good bit of
Yes.
time about the
About
whole
an hour.
series.
Yeah.
It talks about an hour about the whole season, how he wrote it and everything. It'll give you a little more perspective. Kim and I were going back and forth about it. Um and that might be helpful. I mean, that's the most I could do for you is give you Brooker's words to help you get through what happened in that hour and 15, 20 minutes. Like it was longer than usual.
It
And
was.
and that was my first complaint. It didn't need to be. Like that was just extra torture. Like I don't appreciate the knife getting twisted like that, Charlie. I really don't. Like I don't. Like you knew you were messing with my head. You didn't have to drag it out. So,
Right. Yeah, there
uh
were there were a lot of parts that I felt like we could have skimmed over that. We didn't need that. It was just fluff.
mm. No, it was. And let me just take a second before we get into what the story actually is to welcome everybody. Hello, Shill. Hey, Charlie. It's good to see you. NA, it's always good to see you. Of course, there you are. Always createful. I'm so glad you're here with me. I couldn't do this by myself,
I'm up
especially
here
this
with
one.
you,
Yeah.
along
Yeah.
with my newly named friend.
Oh yeah, Tabasco. Let's welcome Tabasco, who is
Yes.
the won the naming contest there. The Tabasco, the cyber donkey, I
Yes.
guess, Robo donkey. Hey Wrecker,
Tabasco.
it's good to see you and thank you for the otters. I could use more. I'm traumatized, as you well know, as you had to
Right?
cover your ears while I was yelling at the screen while we were watching this episode. It was pretty rough. Mark Caesar, hey, nice to see you. Mippet, it's good to see you too. Oh, damn. Mm. It is. Listen, did any of you actually see this episode in the chat? Like, because I'm going to explain like what happened here, but I don't want to re-traumatize people. Although
Right?
I kind of have to tell YouTube. I do kind of have to tell YouTube what happened.
Yeah, you kinda do.
Thank you, Record. I need those. I
We
definitely
do.
need those. Hey, Mrs. Cassandra, thank you. You got me covered there. I need to be otterized because like otters always make me happy. They take me to my happy place. Charlie Brooker did not leave me in a happy place this week. Kim, I was scratching my head. Why? Um, Charlie, like, I don't know about you, but this was dark. This one, it went to a dark place right in the beginning, right? First of all,
From the
it's a little
very beginning.
Mhm. Yeah, he actually throws us back to the 60s, but does a space travel episode, okay? The whole thing is in space and on Earth at the same time. Okay, so we
Yes.
have dual locations. And the premise is that Dave and Cliff, the two astronauts, have
Uh-huh.
families and a life, and they're astronauts, healthy, strong, in their 30s, like an astronaut,
Yeah.
but they're on this long mission that's going to be like 6 years long.
6
Okay,
years.
6 years. And to me, it made sense that there was this technology where you put in your tag, like your dog tag, your identification tag, and they have a doppelganger version of you that's not really alive, but it's a robot thing on Earth that your sentient being goes into to visit with your family while your physical body is up in space. You're sleeping, right, Kim? And you're
Right?
during your sleep episodes in space, you are down there. And you can sleep for days, apparently, because they stay for
Yeah.
days at a time and they switch it up and they do their work up there at the space station and all of that and handle emergencies. They got this like very fancy tech watch that tells them
They
what's
do.
going up there. And if they have to go back, they've got a room in their homes where they've got like it looks like a dentist chair actually or a
It
gynecology table.
does.
Yeah, it does look very doctorish, like
Yeah. That's what
and
I
that
thought too.
Mhm. I was like, "Is he getting a root canal or is he, like, going to be disappearing back up?" Is
And
that
it
where they
was,
keep
like, kind of, like, torturous looking.
It did look a little like a contraption did was
Yeah.
not gonna be comfortable. But what did you decide to call those bodies? I don't know what to call them, doppelgangers? They are exact images of them. The
They're
family,
replicas.
the children, the wives, they're functioning. They
Uh-huh.
function and do everything because there's the sentient being, the part that makes you
They are
you
sentient.
is inside it, even though it's not really you. But
Right.
we learn very traumatically what it's made of.
Yeah. No,
Like,
they're called a replica.
okay, a replica. There we go.
Uh-huh.
Mm. Well, we had to watch one of the astronauts, Dave, was visiting
Yes.
with his family, and Charlie Brooker pulled a Manson family episode on us. A house
Oh my
invasion.
god. Helter Skelter.
He like helter-skeltered us right in the beginning of this thing. You
Yes.
wanna know why I'm upset? Like, I didn't even get used to, like, the whole 60-ish vibe. I'm looking at avocado appliances and, like, those
Right.
comfy couches and wood paneling. I'm getting the fucking
And
Brady family
the
vibe
the
going on and
the
shit. I'm
home
thinking,
the home
you
that
know
looks like it was, like, designed by I.M. Pei.
I'm thinking the Partridge Family too. Like in the back of my head, I'm singing "Hello World." That's a song that I'm singing, and I'm looking at the living room and I'm getting this whole comfy thing going on because, like my nan, my parents, and all, I can
Right.
recall like this,
Yeah.
and I'm getting this nice, comfy, like kind of like vibe about the whole thing, and thinking, and then he just does a helter skelter on me, literally blood on the walls, torture, kill the kids, everything in front of the replica. But the problem is, the replica has the man inside it. He's watching these
Uh-huh.
people torture his family. And then they cut his arm off because, like, they were upset because
They
he's not a
actually
real
cut his
man.
Yeah, they
Because it's
actually cut his arm off
and it
before
wiggled.
they brought the family down.
Yeah. And it had all the wires and everything. And then they, it was wiggling on its own, and you could tell he was robotic, like he was all,
Right.
rubber and tubes and all this stuff.
And
And he's like,
oil,
and,
lubricant.
yeah. And the bad guy, who was Corey Kalkanen, by the way, the youngest Kalkanen,
Rory McCulkin.
Rory McCulkin, who is the youngest brother of the one from Home
Macaulay.
Alone, Macaulay, and his other brother is an actor too. I forget his name,
Yes.
but yeah, who did a very good job as being scary and just weird and
Oh,
just talking
wasn't
like a
he?
maniac. It's a very short performance. This part is very short, okay, because they don't go into any. Yeah, Macaulay. Thank you, Glover Mom, and thank you, Kim,
Yeah.
because I was like, yep, and Macaulay. Yep, they there was a very short episode, but very traumatic. They were teasing, just like you read in the Bianca murders and the Sharon Tate murders, how they taunted from the Helter
And
Skelter book, the whole Manson
that
thing.
that was
It was.
exactly where my mind went, and
Hmm.
in fact, the actress who played, um, Jessica, she looks so much like Sharon Tate.
Yeah, she did. She did. That was his wife, right? And it was they had a very good relationship. They were in love, and I mean, I'm telling you, Josh Hartnett played Dave, and Aaron Paul from Breaking Bad played Cliff. Okay, and they
Right.
both did. I think they did very good acting jobs. I've got no complaint with the acting. As a matter of fact, I think Aaron Paul knocked it out of the park.
Oh,
I really
amazing.
do. Because when we get to like better into the story, you'll understand why I say that, because he's got some challenges as an actor that he needs to deal with that I thought he dealt with really well. Really well. Thank you. Thank you for everybody who's joining. Christola, Glober Mom, oh, I see real C genius there too. Hey, welcome.
Uh-huh.
Mark, again, would it be reality if you experience and remember things you've done remotely because your conscience was transferred there? Is it real? It does feel it based on how the based on how the episode is laid out, it seems to feel quite real to the participants, not only to the replica, to the person controlling the replica, because when they wake up from sleep, Mark, they actually remember everything that happened. It's like a real visit, like they were there. And the families are reacting to them like the real deal. They are having, the situation, the children, everybody's reacting like the real deal.
Right.
Um, they don't treat them like a replica. I don't know if the children actually know or not, but I know the wives do.
I
Okay.
think the children do because when David and his wife, Jessica, were in the theater, the kids were right there.
Mhm. Yep. Hey, Grace. Hmm. Here to support. You're so good, Grace. Yeah. And Mrs. Cassandra, thank you all for being here. Well, this is really, really a rough one. Like the things that come up, not only the
Yeah.
reference to the Manson killings, which is very short, and then like they get caught. Apparently, this all happens. The replica gets burnt out,
Uh-huh.
like destroyed, completely destroyed. Okay. This man wakes up in space with that total memory of what just happened to his family. He
Yeah.
knows he was there. He was looking at it. He's traumatized. Okay. There's a brief little thing about like the people that did it turned themselves in. It was all like for publicity,
They
whatever, like
did.
to get their movement started about it's not right to have them walking around on earth when they're really up in space. This is an abomination against nature and they wanted it stopped. That was their thing. It was like
Yeah, they
whatever.
actually walked into the police station and turned
Yep.
themselves in.
And just turned themselves in. That's all we hear about that part of it. But now we have a man up there with no family, completely depressed. He can't visit Earth anymore. He's got another 4 years. They're 2 years into a 6-year mission. We hear from Cliff.
Right.
Um, Cliff is down there talking to his wife about how sad Dave is, how he wants to help him, how he can't imagine he went through this. Cliff has moved his family out to the outskirts, to farmland, out to the middle of nowhere, just his wife and his son, away from everyone. And to me,
Right.
that relationship seemed weird from the start. What do you think, Kim?
It
The
was a little
interactions
strange.
Oh, but the interactions between Cliff and his wife seemed strange from the get-go.
Yeah,
There was
and
something going on there. Yeah.
well, I think a lot of it is that she's a city girl. She's not this country girl.
Mhm.
And he said that he moved them out there to be safer, and he wanted his son to be able to run and play.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
she's used to the city.
Mhm. Mhm. Mm. I don't know, Wrecker. I thought it was 2 years into a 6 year, and I thought he said there was 4
Yeah,
years left.
yeah,
But
it
it
had
could be the other way around.
no,
I just
they
remember 2, 4,
yeah,
6. Like, that's how it's in my
yeah,
head.
they
Yeah.
they were 2 years into a 6-year mission, and they had
Mm.
4 years left.
Because I remember when he was speaking to his wife, like, one of the best parts of being up there was the balance of they still had some contact with Earth.
Right.
They got to feel the sun on their face, touch grass, feel the wind, be with their families.
Uh-huh.
One of the roughest parts of training for being an astronaut is that isolation, is that total
It
separateness
is.
from the real world. And these long missions that can happen, that's why they're using more automated devices and things like that, because for a human to do it, it is a huge sacrifice, and you are altered. You are definitely, there's no way you're not altered
Oh,
from
yeah,
it.
definitely.
And so, to actually do that, what to your you're not just doing it to yourself, you're doing it to your family too.
Right.
Just from
And
what I've seen in how it gets presented in films and all, I don't have any astronaut
right.
experience, of
I
course.
don't either.
But yeah, but
And
just what we've seen being portrayed in the things I've read and the things I've seen in media, it just made sense. To me, I thought it was a good step in the right direction for technology if they
oh,
could
I
do
think
that.
so. And
Uh, uh,
one thing that I kept reading was, why weren't the replicas up in space and the humans? Well, that wouldn't have accomplished their mission. Their
uh,
mission was to see what that long travel and that long time in space would
would
do
do.
to the human body.
Mhm.
And in the interview, I don't want to give too much of it away if people are going to listen to the podcast.
Mhm. Mhm.
Charlie
I'm gonna
Brooker
post it again.
actually, yeah, Charlie Brooker actually even has a different reason for why they're not
Mhm.
up there.
Right. Yeah. And so I've just posted that Spotify interview for the watch again. Like I said, he starts at an hour 6 will be the Brooker
Right.
part of that interview. It's a 2-hour podcast. I'm just giving you timestamp to make it easier for you guys. But
And it's
hey,
very
Pip.
good.
Yeah.
You really listening to this podcast, I felt like I was finally kind of getting into Brooker's head.
And that's something we wanted to do a little bit, and I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it. I have not completed the interview, I'll be honest. I'm saving it till after this because I wanted my raw feelings about how I feel with it, and then I want to
Uh-huh.
hear what he has to say about it. I wanted this to be my opinion, and I am such a Brooker fan that I knew if I listened to it, I would tone down how it really
Oh, yeah.
affected me. But I'm telling you, it really affected me. I was mad when I got done watching this. I was emotionally traumatized by the death of his family, the way that
I
they
was
portrayed it.
too.
I was yelling. Well, I'm a yeller in a carrying on. Like, you can't take me to the movies, Kim, right? Like, I tell you this all the time. You can't take me to movies. I'll be the one everybody turns around and tells to shut up or throws popcorn at because I'm like yelling. I'm like going, oh my God, like scream. I'm like, and I was so upset. I was like going, oh my God, don't tell me. Oh my God. And if I had anybody with me, I would have buried my face under their armpit. I would have been hiding
Oh,
behind them. I was so it just affected me. I'm just so squishy about it. I don't
you know
know the right word.
yeah. No,
It's just
when
mhm.
he tells his counterparts, his partners, to bring down the family, I instantly went to a puddle. I was just
Yeah,
I was gone. I lost it. And
it was. And he
I
has to
pretty much
watch the
stayed that
funeral.
way.
He
Yes.
doesn't have a replica anymore. He can't even go to their funeral. He can't do
Right.
anything because and then did you notice they buried the family but not the replica? Like
I
I was wondering how he
know.
felt about that. Like they killed me and my access. They cut me off from the world and I got nothing. I was wondering how he felt like that about that. But
I
it was
know.
more about the live bodies. His two children, his two girls and his wife gone. And that sets the premise for what happens next because now Now Cliff is down there talking to his wife. We see a strained relationship. Yes, Glover mom, I agree there was definitely something going on there. I don't know what, but it was definitely rocky, strained, something.
It was.
Something. I wouldn't say there wasn't love there. They were obviously committed. I don't know if something happened with their child as to why they moved away. He makes statements throughout the movie, right, Kim, about the kid being hard to handle and needs discipline, and it's better for the
Right.
boy. A lot of conversation about it's better for the boy, but we never understand
Well,
exactly
and,
why. You know.
he also made a point that I referenced earlier where he was like, "I just want him to be able to run and play and be outside," and
Hmm. And it's a wonderful place. They live on farmland. They've got a
oh,
forest
it's
behind them.
beautiful.
It's isolated, beautiful, just like just a simple life. And that's what Cliff moved his family to. The problem is his wife is very lonely. She's a reader, a
She
thinker,
is,
and she's lonely. No friends. The boy's
and
got no
I
friends.
think
Yeah.
she's used to having people around her,
I
like,
I think so. There was the
women's
comment.
clubs,
Yeah,
things
there
like
was
that.
the comment that Dave meant about when I met your wife, because apparently in the astronaut circle they do social events and stuff like that. They casually know each other's families, just casually. They're not like best friends or anything. They get to be best friends up there, I guess, or friendlier
Oh,
up
yeah,
there. But the
be.
families just are aware of each other and know each other's names and can reach out and contact. And he said, when I met your wife, I actually thought she was more of a social butterfly. She was more of a butterfly.
Exactly.
Like she needed it. Like he was short. Like Dave seemed to be surprised that Cliff moved him so far away since he
Yeah,
was going to be away for 6 years. Why
and
he
she
would
kinda
move them.
seemed very toned down also, like,
Hmm.
her hair was always just kinda, like, half up, half down, and her
That was
clothing.
so the style in the 60s. I loved the
It
way
was,
they brought all of that 60s
yeah,
stuff in.
but,
Those
like,
sunglasses, I would kill for those
oh my
sunglasses.
gosh,
Oh,
but
like they're the bomb. Like
yeah,
that's
even her clothing was very understated, very
hmm
plain.
hmm
I mean, I wouldn't just look at her and think social butterfly.
And the difference between the two characters, Cliff and Dave, you could tell that Cliff was on the much newer side of the 60s. He's coming out of the 50s
Yes.
solid. He wears his hat, his pants are a little higher, he wears his belt, the way
Uh-huh.
he dresses, okay? He's totally coming at the end of the 50s, sneaking into the 60s, grabbed himself a modern woman, okay? But
Right.
he seems to be, and not in a bad way, a very respectful, average, late 1950s-ish kind of mentality about how
Yes.
life should be, how his relationship should be, how he deals with people. Like he wears a hat out in public. He's the one who drives when they go anywhere.
Uh-huh.
He rules the roost kind of thing, but not in an offensive way. He's very respectful to his
He
wife.
is.
He doesn't besides their strained relationship where it doesn't feel like they talk about what the real issue is, he does seem to be respectful of her as a human with interests in growth and respects her as far as the way she thinks and how she feels and stuff, like as if she can have an opinion. I got that from him. I don't know
Yeah.
how, but I did get the impression from him. He gave her opinion and he let her talk, and he did love
Uh-huh.
her very much.
Oh,
And
yeah, he did.
she's played by Kate Mara, by the way, and she did a great job. She did an
Wonderful
absolute great
actress.
job. Wonderful
She's so
job.
amazing.
Yeah. So anyway, he's talking, Cliff, to get back to the story, right? Because he's talking to his wife, right? And they decide it might be good if, they give Dave some time on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Like the machine is set up that it just accepts a tag and goes
Uh-huh.
into the replica, whoever's tag it is, which means multiple people can go into the same replica apparently, which I do
Exactly.
not understand that part of it at all.
No, I
That
didn't either.
that seemed a little
But,
like that shouldn't be.
I
That
guess
shouldn't
it's
be. Yeah.
I guess it's kinda no different than, where Brooker has taken us before, the cookies,
Mhm.
putting them into different objects and things like that. It's kinda it that was what I was kind of reminded of.
Mhm. Yeah. It was just that part just like yeah, Glober mom said Cliff was a strict parent as well. Yeah, I get that. We're gonna get to that part because this is
Oh,
part
yeah.
of the story that was really there's too many loopholes here to me, and I'm wondering what Brooker was doing to me because the whole time he was keeping me off kilter. He wanted me on the edge the whole time, and he had me there. Like I was not pleased with almost any part of it. Like any part of it, except for the technology, I could see some good to it and I like it. But now I'm
Right.
horrified of it because of what happened. Mm. I would say, like, I don't know, do you wanna tell them, like, how that goes with the wife and the husband? Like, they just willingly think it's a good idea. They sound
Yeah,
like good
they
people.
they both did, and
Yeah.
I don't think she was quite as on board as Cliff was, but she almost felt, I think, like it was her obligation or her duty to not only her husband, but, we see this a lot with, military families, and I'm sure probably the people in the space program, because we also see it with some law enforcement families where the
Mhm.
spouse or other family members feel not only the obligation to their spouse, but also to that organization to try
Mhm.
to uphold and keep the morale up for everyone.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that that was a lot of it also.
And I think that they would be really, really good, but we know that it's gonna take a lot more science in there. It's gonna be more
Oh,
than a tag that
definitely.
goes in there into the machine because you got neuro implants, like this whole thing going on. The part that they could switch, although it's the premise of the whole story, if they weren't able to actually switch, none of this would have happened afterwards. None of
No,
it.
it
Okay.
wouldn't have.
So I guess he had to write it in that way, but to me that part was a little unbelievable that they could just switch out replicas like that. Because in the end, with agreement of his wife, which he did ask her and they talk about it, he think it's a good idea to give him some time down there to have the wind on his face, the sun, touch grass, so to speak.
Yeah,
You know.
have some
It
interaction with a
Right,
person.
and they were coming from a good place with it. They're talking
They
about how
were.
it was so far away from everything, nobody's gonna know, right?
Right.
He's not gonna be in the public eye or anything, any of this stuff because apparently they're big deal. This is the first replicas to do this. This is the first mission to do it. They're famous. They've been in the papers. Everybody knows who they are, which is probably why Cliff moved his family away to feel more secure that nothing was gonna happen to them while he was up there. I could see why he would do that,
Oh, I
especially
can
since
too.
everybody knows who they are. Like everybody knows who these two astronauts are. Um, there are scenes in there that show it when they meet the people and they want to actually talk to them, shake their hand, feel if it's real, feel how real they are, you know, because they know they're replicas,
Uh-huh.
and they know they're not really on Earth right now. They're in space,
Right.
even though they met them. I do think that maybe Cliff, because of the publicity, that's why he moved his family out of the city and so
I
far
think
away.
so too.
Yeah.
I think that was
Um.
a big part, not just
Mhm.
him saying, "Oh, I want my son to have room to run and play and,
Mhm.
get dirty," and no, I think a
Mhm.
lot of it was a safety issue.
Yeah, I totally do. And it comes in that it also plays into that, well, if they switch, which this is what they're going to offer Dave, is some time down there, that it would be private and he could deal with his grief and just be in the sun and just have a breath away from the space station like he was before, that he had lost so much that
Right.
anyone could put yourself in the other person's shoes and just say, that was so much to handle. Like you just can't be sitting up here in this floating can dealing with this stuff. So they decide to switch. Yeah. And do you want to tell
They
them
did.
about that first visit? That was kind of emotional, that first
The
visit.
first visit was very emotional, and, um, she Lana got David to talk, and David actually broke down,
Hmm. And she
and
did what the very
yeah,
human thing, right? Yeah.
she did, she comforted him, which I think a lot of us would do that.
I think
We
anyone
don't
would.
want to see someone hurting.
Mm-hmm. It was, and she did it, just held him while he cried.
Yeah,
There was no
there was
overtones of
no
anything.
no overtones at all.
Yeah.
No, it was
Although
just
it
one
made
human
me
comforting another.
but it gave me a hint of what was coming. I was like,
Oh,
"Oh,
yeah. It kinda
no.
foreshadowed.
Oh, no." I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah.
human nature. Yep, they're
Uh-huh.
gonna have this." All of a sudden you start thinking they're gonna have an affair. The other one's gonna find out. This whole thing gets twisted.
Right.
It's gonna be trashy human nature for the win. And I was disappointed right there if that's where it was going. But I have to give Brooker some credit. He didn't exactly do that to me
No,
because,
he didn't.
he could, Brooker can't
He
just
coulda just
toss
taken it
a
there.
sordid affair at me and make me deal with that.
Oh, yeah.
No, no, he can't do that. No, that was bad enough when I thought he was going there. I'm like, okay, yeah. So
Right?
the woman comforts him, and of course, she's just going to see a man who's hurting, and she's just going to like fold on all her loyalty and her fortitude and just like everything she believes in and toss it to the wind. And, there you go. But luckily, right? That didn't happen.
Luckily, it did not
Mhm.
happen. No, it did not. 'Cause I couldn't have handled it at that point. I was still grieving the family.
Mhm.
I
There
couldn't have
they
handled this other.
Okay. There's a replica question that we have to deal with, Kim,
I
and
know,
I
I'm
do
trying to
not
answer
know.
her.
I do not know the answer because this bothered me. You want to know if they can actually have physical relations. We don't know the answer to this. And there's two scenes that actually say there's several scenes that actually give me doubt that they can. Because when we see the scene of Dave and his wife, and you could see how they're in love and they're dancing to the music, and it's just so romantic, so kitschy French, whatever. He
Yeah,
only
beyond the
he
sea.
he does not drag her to the bedroom and do all of this. He
No.
literally releases her with his hand. He
Uh-huh.
excites her, does her right before he's
Yeah.
leaving, and then he has to go. And it seems like she was used to it and accepted it that way. And it was,
I
but
think
I
that's
thought that
about
was kind of
it.
odd because he's big, virile. It was obvious he
Yeah.
was really into it and he really wanted his wife, but that's what he chose to do. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that at all.
No.
It just gave me a clue as to the rest of it. When I see
Yeah.
the relationship between Lana and Cliff, and there's that odds there. They're not touching each
No,
other,
they're
not
not.
one single hug,
No.
holding hands, anything. He actually climbs in bed and turns the light off without even kissing her on the cheek and saying goodnight. And
Yeah.
she's sitting there in bed reading when he
E
comes into the room.
exactly.
And he literally gets in his pajamas, climbs into bed, and turns the light
Uh-huh.
off.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, like there's something going on there. Like you don't even do a casual little relationship kiss on the
I
cheek to say
know.
goodnight, a pat on a
Right?
hug, anything, even look at her. Did he look at her? Like, wow.
No, he didn't.
I'm like, whoa, there's something going on here. There's a reason there's a wall. It's obvious they love each other,
Yeah.
but there's a reason there's a wall. Could that wall be that in order to do the replica, they needed to quill the ability to have sex? Maybe something's wrong with the mechanism
Yeah.
during this period of
Well,
time.
we
I
know
don't know.
that they don't require food
Oh, they
because
don't, because did you
they
see that
don't
crap?
require food. Yeah.
Did you see the crap that they
Well,
were making the
even
astronauts eat? Oh my god.
even when, Cliff at one point, I can't remember if it was actually the Cliff replica or the David in the Cliff replica, but they were at the table with Lana and the son, and Lana and the son were eating, and there was not even a plate in front of the replica.
Right.
So they don't need that nourishment, they don't need that sustenance. So I honestly think that Kens are
Mhm.
like a I think the replicas are like a Ken doll.
Yep, he did. He pleased her with his hand. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
I yep. That this is what I'm talking about. And but then Cliff and Lena were obviously, he did fulfill his wife's needs. I'm giving him full
He
credit for that.
did.
There's nothing wrong with that. I was
No.
just it gave me a clue as to the replica to answer the question of whether or not they could do that, which is what our chat is asking. It seemed like Cliff wasn't trying to please his wife at all, but Dave was. But they weren't doing it like,
Right.
Dave wasn't doing it what I would call traditionally.
No.
And there could be many reasons, but but more information later made me believe it wasn't possible. There's a conversation later on, much towards the end, between Cliff and Lana about her just wanting to be touched and wanting to be
He
with.
wanted that physicality.
She wanted physicality, and he is like in tears. He's in
Yeah.
tears, right? And he just realizes how lonely she's been and all. And he hugs her. And it's the only time I've seen
Uh-huh.
him like actually hug her and say
Yeah.
he's sorry and everything. And then I realized that he is responsible for that separateness because he can't do what he's suppressing all of it because
I think so too.
he can't find a way to just do a little of it or something,
Right.
which is a response to that kind of stuff. But that's what led me to believe that the answer for me, Mrs. Cassandra in the chat that wants to know, I don't think they can actually do that word. They can do
I
other
don't think
things.
so either.
Right. Because I will tell you that Dave is quite an aggressive sexual person.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And that becomes quite evident. His
I mean, you
loneliness,
can tell.
he gets let's just put it out there. Sh- Lana hugs him in support of a grieving person.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And all of a sudden, a plan hatches in Dave.
Oh, yeah.
He goes back up, thanks Cliff so much for like letting him come down there. He had a great visit. It was so good for him. He'd really like to do it again. They talk about his art. He
He
drew the
drew the
farm.
house.
And Cliff saw the drawing. It was like, wow. He goes, you drew that from memory? And he
Yeah.
goes, yeah. He goes, it was so good for me. I really enjoyed it. And then he hatches a plan about, well, I could paint something like that for your home. You like it so much.
Yeah. He's like,
If you get the materials, I
if
could go
you can
back
get me
down
some
there
paint
again.
and some
I could go,
canvases.
yeah, I could go back down there again, just an hour or two at a time, and do the painting for you.
Uh-huh.
And here's where the great mistake gets made. He talks,
Yeah.
Cliff talks to Lana again, and they think it would be good. And she's like, well, how long would it be? And they get the stuff, and it's only supposed to be an hour here or there.
Right.
But we now see Dave like really, really getting a thing for Lana, like for this life.
Yeah.
Like, he's down there on
Well,
Earth. He's a woman. He's
and,
got, mm,
he's taking her to the bookstore to get different books, and he's recommending books for her to read, and he's really becoming enmeshed.
he is. But I have to say, for the Lana character, the way Kate Mara played it, I have to actually comment on. I'm very happy that Charlie Brooker allowed the writing was such that here is a lonely woman, obviously separated from her husband. Okay,
Uh-huh.
obviously just crying out to be seen and noticed. She doesn't get anybody to talk to, adults, anything
Right.
like that. Somebody comes down in her husband's body. Okay, she's looking at her husband. It starts talking to her about her books and reading and painting and showing her things. And she's all for that, but she understands the whole time that that is not her husband.
She
And I give her
does.
and I give her great credit for that. Like she drew that line because as Dave got more aggressive, she got more insulted. And like,
Yeah,
no,
she
you,
did.
she told him right to his face. These were the best words she
Yeah.
ever said. You are not him.
Uh-huh.
Period. Like that body might look like my husband, and I want my husband to touch me, but that is not my husband.
Yeah, you
And
are not my husband.
I just that part left me with a little hope for humanity
Yes.
because here was a woman's character who didn't do the typical. Everybody who started to watch that, I would imagine most people are going, there she is, she's going to have an affair. Here it is. Like she just can't resist. She's
Uh-huh.
lonely. It's too easy. He even says things to her like, no one, he'll never know. No one will ever know. And
Yeah.
she still is like, no,
She's like, "I will
no.
know. I will
She will
know."
know. And that was such a strong statement for me, and I was so proud because here we had a really
Uh-huh.
strong character that did not, what was the word that Recker uses? She didn't sell out her constitution. She just
Exactly.
stuck to it the whole time. That was the word. Like the constitution. She had her morals and stuff, and she loves her husband. She was loyal, and I was like, good for her. And I was very happy to
Right.
see that written in that way and performed that way. But Dave wasn't really happy about it, was he, Kim? Mm.
Dave was not happy about it at
Mm-mm.
all, and Dave would plot ways to get
Mhm.
down there,
Mhm.
like sending Cliff on missions that didn't exist to fix
Mhm.
something that wasn't broken, and keeping him locked out there a little bit longer.
Because when he goes out there, he has to take his tag
They
off,
Yeah, they
and
have
he's
to take everything metal off. They can't have anything metal on them when they go outside.
mhm. He became fixated and wanted more and more time with her to try to convince her. The more
Right.
she stayed loyal, the more he wanted to try to convince her. And
Uh-huh.
he was becoming really devious. Like, did you think he was going to kill him when he put him out of there? He locked him
No.
outside of the
Yes.
spaceship. I thought he
Yes.
was a goner. I was screaming like
I was too. I
poor
mean,
Wrecker's ears. Like they must have busted
I
a
am
couple of
like,
eardrums because I
let
was like
him in.
screaming.
I was like,
Oh,
why do they not have a fail-safe? Why
I,
why is there not a fail-safe on this?
that bothered me too. He wasn't tethered. Like there's nobody.
No.
Nobody leaves the spaceship untethered to the spaceship. Let's just be
No.
clear. Okay, that was like
Ex
I'm like, what?
Except in
No.
2001: A Space Odyssey.
And that didn't end well.
No, it didn't.
You think they would learn. Like, you have to be tethered,
You
So
gotta be
many
tethered.
yeah, so you need to be tethered. So that bothered me too. I was like, "Hey, hey,
It
hey, no,
bothered
no,
me.
like,
I was like, "Wait,
no
where's
way."
their
Yeah.
lifeline?"
Yeah, yeah. But, sends him out on false missions, you're right, so you can have more time, and
Uh-huh.
this is the thing. So I do like the way they laid that all out there with the taking off of the tags and the jewelry and the watch so you don't have
Right.
any communication. They laid that out in a few scenes that way, and then you just see Dave getting more and more devious. And at first, my heart, I really felt for Dave.
I
Okay.
did too.
Josh Hartnett did a good job of playing him as a man who really loved his family and all.
He
But
did.
then something twisted in him. And now I saw him as very manipulative and controlling. He definitely thinks he's the man in the room. No
Yeah,
one measures up to him. He's got
right.
this arrogance that I just,
Oh my gosh.
ugh, I
Yeah.
just like and it's true because Aaron Paul is a smaller actor. Like the size difference between the two men, they're both very attractive.
Oh, yeah,
They
very.
they're no one's gonna kick them out, so to speak. But Josh Hartnett
Right.
is much taller, much
He's a
more
large man.
a larger man's man kind of
Larger
man.
frame.
Yeah, yeah,
Larger
larger frame.
frame.
Whereas Aaron Paul is more average, good looking, in great shape. They're both in great shape. They're athletes. They show us them
They do.
working out rather all the time.
Yeah.
Um, yes, Mr. Milord, I agree. This episode sucked, and I'm really upset. And yeah, don't use caps. But for emphasis, you can, like you guys just did. That was a joke from last night that we don't want to carry on here. But I mean, not even a
Okay.
joke. It actually started to be a thing. But
Oh,
I agree with you. It was a very upsetting episode. It was
it
quite disturbing for me. I'm trying to figure out why Charlie wanted us to go through it. What he was trying to point out to me, besides that human nature sucks and technology can't help you. It only makes it worse. Like
right.
the humans in this really had, especially Dave, had some issue. Watch the workout
Yeah.
part, Mrs.
Yeah,
Cassandra.
watch
It
the
was good.
workout part. It's worth
Yeah,
it.
yeah. But I have to say the rest of it was emotionally, emotionally, emotionally draining. Emotionally, like a roller coaster. Like I was
It
angry a
was.
lot. I was
I
upset
was
and
too.
angry.
I was in a very dark place anyway, and this didn't help at all.
It You know what? It is you know what? You nailed it on the head, Mousy. I'm gonna put this up. And welcome. I'm sorry I didn't get to say that prior. Welcome. Um, she says I disagree that it was a bad episode. She said I thought it was incredibly sad. I agree. And heartbreaking story of jealousy and coveting. Yes, it was.
Exactly.
And
It
also of
was. Yes.
empathy and danger and the risks we take to make others feel better, or how much responsibility do we take on for how others feel. Yeah, it's got all that in there. And it was heartbreaking is right, heartbreakingly sad, especially when we continue on to what happened. We already
Yeah.
know from what Kim and I are saying that Dave is coveting Lana seriously. But the way Dave lays that out to make sure Cliff finds out about it is very
Yeah,
upsetting to me. Not
very
necessary.
upsetting.
We know that
No,
Dave is an artist, right? So Kim, tell them what he does. Like he just, hmm.
he
I'm gonna let you
does
go.
he does a portrait of Lana from memory, basically nude, and Cliff sees it.
Yet he's never seen her nude,
Never seen her nude.
and it's not just one. It's like a whole series,
It's a whole series of them. It's
and
like
it's
a
in.
sketchbook full.
He even does the laying on the bed, come hither scene where like the woman's
Yes.
laying there waiting for you. He does the shy one looking over the shoulder. He does all these positions of her
Uh-huh.
as if he actually makes it appear that she was posing for him or that it
Yeah.
happened because he tells them all along that he draws from memory,
Because
and that's in
he
Cliff's head.
does. He
Hmm.
tells him that he does draw from memory. And no, Mrs. Cassandra, he doesn't have Cliff's memories.
He
He
doesn't.
only
No.
has his own. But let's just say he took some artist liberties and drew in what he would imagine her to be like.
Mm, that's a very good. I'm gonna bring that up in a second, Glover Mom, because that is something I also thought about the time frame that Brooker used to display this, and Kim might be able to add something on that after she heard the interview. Okay, Mark says, "Do you think the lack of ability to have sex would have been on purpose to illustrate the problems the wife would face being alone on Earth?" I do. I
Yeah,
actually do. Yeah,
I
I
think
think
so
that
too.
I think that was put in there for that. But
Yeah,
basically, you know, Dave is setting Cliff up for the jealousy thing. He
oh,
wants there to
yeah.
be a problem here. I don't know why he is putting it that way because I guess because she said no, he wants to make the two of them fight so that maybe she will. Maybe he thinks that she would. If he if she got accused of it, she might as well do it. Do you know what I mean? Like some
Right.
people are weird like that. I'm still trying to figure out why he wanted Cliff to know he wanted his wife.
I
Why?
know.
Because he
I
was throwing it in his face as if
He
I'm
was.
more of a man and I deserve your wife more
I
than
can
you
take
do.
care of her better than you can.
Exactly, because he basically said that. Your wife is lonely and she wants it. She
Uh-huh.
told the man that she wanted it, you
Right.
know? And I just, are there fireworks going off by you? Or is that by me? Like, I
That
don't,
sounds more like from you.
wow, that is, that's bizarre. I'm trying to figure out
'Cause
where it's coming.
I'm hearing it through my headphones.
You're right. It is fireworks. Sorry, guys. There's nothing. I even have the condenser on. There's nothing I'm going to be able to do about that. Hopefully, it stays like pretty
Yeah,
small.
it's
Um,
okay.
hmm but it is the Fourth of July weekend coming up. Pre Fourth of July for us. So there's like going to be all kinds of crazy stuff like that going on all over the
Yeah,
place.
we're
But
having ours
mhm,
tomorrow.
yeah, well, like we say, he really was rubbing it in his face. That's what I mean about the arrogance of this man. He goes through a trauma like
Right.
that and then now feels obligated that people owe him something.
Yeah,
And
and you
and
have
he's
a
gonna
man who is willing to share his time on earth with
mhm.
you.
Just
And
not
this
his
is
wife.
how
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
he doesn't wanna share everything. Like, you can go down there, you can do your paintings, you can
Mhm.
walk amongst the meadow and, whatever,
Mhm.
but you just can't have my family.
Exactly. I'm gonna actually share what I can of a good life with you and give you stuff outside, but like he just couldn't leave it like that, you know. He just
Yeah,
he just
he
couldn't do
wanted
it.
it all.
You know. So he sets this up to where, you know, they're gonna he's put it in Cliff's head that there's an affair. And of
Yeah.
course, Cliff's gonna go down there. You know he's gonna go down there. First thing he's
Oh,
gonna
of
do
course he is.
is gonna confront Lana. And she very expertly says, no, 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 it
No,
didn't happen. And thankfully he took a step back and was like, he looked at his wife. He knew she was serious.
he
She's like,
knew.
I swear on our child's life,
Yeah,
nothing happened.
he knew.
Nothing. And she didn't even go so far as to say that he manhandled her the way he did.
No.
Remember, he was like all
Oh,
over her
yeah.
breast. He was like trying to do what he did with his wife. It was
Uh-huh.
almost the same scene with a different woman, and then they stopped short because she was like, "No," and she really
No.
put him back in his place. So
Yeah.
he could figure out the size of her breast and do those photos from,
Uh-huh.
do that drawing from that. But and it was all imaginative, like just from
Yeah. And
watching her and artist's eye, and you know this, Kim, because you're an artist.
I
Like
do.
he could undress her in her
Oh,
clothes
yeah.
and figure out what her
Exactly.
body looked like. But
Exactly.
it was so malicious how he set it up. But Cliff does confront Lana. Lana tells him it's not true. Now Cliff is really pissed because now this man is harassing his wife.
Right.
And the wife is like, there's a scene about the painting where the boy finds the painting and messes a part of it up. And Cliff, okay, has said some things about the boy being like out of control and stuff like that. I don't really see it. I see he's quiet and a
I
little
see him very
mischievous, but I don't
quiet,
see him. He's
timid.
very quiet. There's something going on with him, but we don't
Mhm.
know what. But anyway, Dave tacks that boy down and smacks him. And the
Yes.
and Lana is pissed because she's like, "That's not your son. Don't you hit my
You
son."
don't hit my son.
Right. And so when she tells Cliff about it, Cliff is like not bothered at all. He's
I
like, "Well, I
know.
would have hit him. Why can't Dave hit him? I would have hit him. I've hit him before. I've done this. Like that was the appropriate thing." She goes, "But it's not his son. It wasn't you." Like Lana seems to be the only one in this whole scenario that gets the difference that they're two different men. No matter whose
Exactly.
suit they're wearing, they are two different men, and Dave has no rights to this family. None.
Exactly.
None. Okay. And Cliff is like, well, if he's wearing my skin, he's acting like me. Well, where do you draw the line if he's wearing your skin and he's
Yeah.
acting like you, Cliff? Like you're okay with him manhandling your son, but don't look at your wife? Like, where are your lines here?
Right. And
That was
re
so disturbing. Yeah.
yeah, it was. And remember after Cliff found all of the sketches of Lana,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes down there and he confronts Lana about it, and Lana's like, yeah, maybe we need to limit his time down here."
Yeah, like that's it. And then she said, "Well, why didn't you tell me that he was making you uncomfortable?" And she's like, "You didn't listen about him slapping our son. Like you
Yeah.
weren't listening to
You
me. Like
break
why
that
would
one
I
off.
tell you like you would have turned it into like she was basically saying you weren't listening to me. You were only going to, turn it into something else than what I'm trying to tell you here. Like
Right.
you weren't listening. Like, and it was she did try to tell him about the son, and he just totally didn't get it. He didn't get it at all, you know.
No, he
Yeah.
didn't get it.
Yeah. But oh, just too much. So now, here we go. This is when he starts. Once Cliff goes back up there and
Uh-huh.
confronts him and says right to his face, "It would never happen because my wife doesn't want you. She
Exactly.
doesn't want you. She has
Yeah.
no interest in you. The thought of you coming back down there made her puke." Like
Uh-huh.
he really went in.
Oh,
And
he
you could
did.
see the arrogance
You
on
could
Dave.
see it coming out of David
He was just
so
like, "That's
hard.
not true. Of course she wants me. I'm all
Yeah.
that." Like, "Of
Why
course she
wouldn't
does."
why wouldn't she want me? I've
Mhm.
got I'm my personality, but I'm in your body.
Mhm.
So of course she would want me.
Right. Like it's not cheating. Like it's not cheating if it's your
It's
body.
not cheating if it's your body.
But it is. It's not
It
him. Like,
is
yeah.
because
Um,
it's not the same personality. It's not the same sentient being.
exactly. And she's married to the whole to the whole person. And
Yes.
yeah. And I admire that she kept that through the whole thing. And
Oh, I do too.
I do admire the fact that when she was so adamant about it, Cliff believed her. And
I
thankfully,
yes,
because
yes.
so many people wouldn't. They were
Oh,
just like
I was
they're gonna
afraid
go,
that
"Oh yeah, right. Like sure, you had the opportunity. Like you just
yeah,
want it both
I was
ways."
afraid that he was not going to believe her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That
Well,
was my big fear.
that's what I mean by him coming in from the late 50s into the early 60s. He was open
Right,
enough. He was open enough to accept her as a whole human. You know what I mean? Like they were
right.
partners.
They
They
were.
definitely, yeah. And I think that it was the astronaut mission that actually made whatever distance is between them. The
Oh, I
change
think
in their
so.
life. the change in their life that was going to have to happen, and her having to settle for certain things that maybe she wasn't ready to, and to actually have that lack of physicality really affected her more than she thought, I
Well,
think.
and
Yeah. And him too, actually, because that's why he was so distant.
yeah,
I
and,
think it
you
really
know,
did.
I can kind of draw on my own experience with this, um, having a son that was in the military and having him on, you know, overseas missions for much of his military career.
Mhm.
There is kind of a mental distancing you have to do sometimes to
Mhm.
get yourself through that.
Right, right.
And
Yeah.
then it's hard to almost kind of, you're overjoyed whenever they get to leave and they get to come home and
Mhm.
when they're out and they're seeking out a new career and everything.
Mhm.
But it's hard to get that connection fully back right
It
at
is.
first.
You because you have to actually build up
You
the
do.
the carrying on the day to day and continuing with your
Yeah,
life, which you're expected to, which you feel guilty about doing to begin with. And so
you
you do need to
do.
do that wall of separation to protect yourself, them, and just to be
Yeah,
able to go through. I get that.
and
I
the
totally
cold.
get that. I think we all do that in ways all the time for different reasons anyway. And I can
Uh-huh.
totally see that happening, especially with the astronaut situation
Oh, I can
with, you know,
too.
going on and the length of that mission.
And
Um,
knowing that my husband's gonna be up there for
mhm,
4 more years,
mhm.
and I've gotta go
Yeah.
through this for 4 more years.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, they had a strong connection because it does look like she was willing. It does look like they
They
agreed to do
did.
it together. They're just dealing now with the way they feel about it that they didn't anticipate. I think that is actually we might be making more of it than it is, but it makes more sense to me than not knowing what it was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, because it disturbs me. You
Yeah.
know, it disturbs me about their relationship and how distant
Uh-huh.
everything was and everything like that. But I agree with the change in life, and like Glover Mom says, the change in address added to the
Yeah,
stress. So
it
I was
did.
really happy it didn't play out in the typical trope of she cheats on him. There's a whorish
Exactly.
polyamorous thing going on here, and everybody ends up dead or
I
something,
know.
or
I was
unhappy,
like
or like
I
throw
was
your life
bas
away.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
basically sitting there, like, holding my head, like,
Hmm.
almost, halfway covering my eyes and
Hmm.
everything going, "No, Charlie, please, please do not let them have an affair. Please,
Hmm.
please, you can't do this to me right now. I've gone through too much."
No, but so he did the next big thing. Yeah, yeah. He doesn't have them have an affair, but
No.
like, Dave can't leave it alone.
No,
Dave,
he can't.
Dave does something that I can't wrap my head around this in because Dave has lost his family to an act of violence in the middle
Yeah.
of the night. All of a sudden, his happy little world is cracked open by some maniacs who come in there and kill his family in front of him and destroy his replica, ruin his life in a moment.
Uh-huh.
Okay. He is reeling from that. He's dealing with that. That happened to him and it's wrong and he knows it's wrong. He feels it. So
Right.
so that's why, Kim, I don't understand Dave's response to rejection. When Cliff gets into Dave's face and tells him, "Stop. My wife doesn't want you. We're doing this for you. But you know what? You're taking advantage. You just don't get to do. Your sad life is not reason to ruin mine." He gets in his face and you see something turning, Dave.
Oh, you
Like
do.
turning. You
Oh,
see
yeah.
just this, oh yeah, the way that that chin came out. I'm sorry,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if Josh Hartnett meant it or not. I mean, I'm not gonna say anything bad about him. He's a decent actor. I've never known
Yeah.
him to be stellar at anything.
No.
He's not my type, body, face, or movement. So like, I don't know enough about him to judge. But the way that chin jutted out
Uh-huh.
when Cliff was talking to him, the arrogance that it was pouring off of him like, yeah,
It was.
right.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
right. Yeah,
you're
right.
not taking this I'll
Mhm.
I'll make you see how bad it can
Mhm.
be.
Yep,
And
it
I
was
think
like,
that was
yep.
it. I think
Mhm.
it was like,
It was almost like, "How dare you talk to me? Don't you know what I've been through? Don't you
yeah,
care about how I feel?" And it was like, "Why should Cliff feel right now about how you feel when you're coveting and destroying his family? Dude, Like, and but it was all about him. It was all like, really? She doesn't want me? What? No, that can't be. Don't you know what I've been through? How dare you talk to
Yeah.
me like that? Like
How
this
can
is
she
all
reject
yeah.
me
Yeah,
after
exactly.
everything I've done
Mhm.
for her
Oh,
down
exactly.
there and everything
Mhm.
I've gone through? How can she reject me?
Exactly. And that's why this is gets all right. Here's the trigger part because like this bothers me. I just gotta
Yeah.
blurt it out. You okay with that, Kim? I'm just gotta blurt
Yeah.
it out. Unless you want to. Do you want to blurt it out? I don't
No,
know.
it's okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. So Cliff goes down there. Okay. And basically while he's there, he goes down there with one thing in mind. He kills Cliff's
You
family.
mean David.
David, yes.
David
David
goes
goes
down
down
there.
there. Cliff doesn't go down and kill his own family.
No.
Dave goes down there. You're
Yes.
right. See, it's emotional for me.
I
I
know,
can't.
it
I
is.
can't. I just like I get tongue tied and I start like
Well,
mispronouncing words. I even make up words when I'm like this. So get ready.
you
Okay, like I'll
I
tell you, Dave goes down there and all you see is blood on the walls, room by
yeah.
room, smears, helter skelter style.
Oh,
And then
it
when he
looked like
comes
a
back up,
slaughterhouse.
right, Cliff sees that there's blood on when Cliff goes down there to find out what Dave did because Dave wasn't
Uh-huh.
supposed to go down there. He left him out there on a
Left him
mission.
outside.
Okay, and took his dog tag and went against anybody's knowledge into that replica machine and went down there. And Cliff knew it because when he went to come back in, his dog tag wasn't on the tray.
His dog tag was not on the
And
tray.
Josh Hartnett like plays this so well, just slowly pulling it
Yeah.
out of the pocket, and Dave is pulling it out of the pocket to hand it to him because you know he wanted him to know. You know he wanted
Uh-huh.
to scare the life out of him. He was
He
playing every
did.
moment for like psychological stabbing him in the brain. I'm telling you, he was just like
Right.
everything. Hands him the dog tag. He beats a line there, goes down there. When he wakes up, the replica's hands are full of blood and he freaks
Oh,
out and he goes through and he sees blood on the walls and blood on the walls, and
yeah.
you're going room to room and he ends up laying in the middle of the living room right next to a big
A
field of blood.
big yes.
Thankfully, the director in the cinematographer and the photographer decided not to traumatize me any
Right?
further by showing me the bodies.
I know.
Thank you
I couldn't have taken it.
for
I
that.
mean,
For that, Charlie Brooker, I thank you because it
but
was just as horrific to just know what
the
happened. Let me
close
tell you.
up,
Mhm.
the close up that they got on Cliff's face.
Of him right in front of the blood,
Oh,
like
in that
that.
agony.
It was it, and he's crying and carrying
Oh
on. I
my
gotta say,
gosh.
Aaron Paul played this so well. I gotta talk a little about that before we leave.
I'm like
Like
wanting to tear up again right now
but
with it,
anyway,
just
I'm
thinking about it.
just going to get to the end of actually what happened and then we could just start talking about the cinematography and the acting
Yeah,
because damn, that part saved it. I
it
will
did.
watch episode four, even though halfway through episode 3, I was ready to just. And you guys know me. I've been through every episode. I love Charlie Brooker, but I was so upset. I was like, I can't do this if this is what he's gonna do to me. I
I
cannot do this
know.
again. All right, so he kills Cliff's family. Dave went down there, killed the family. Cliff goes down there, finds him in off. Oh, it's awful. All right,
It's awful.
we don't get to know if there's a charges or this or if he reports them because all
No.
we get, and this I'm also upset about. All we get is the twist of Cliff going back up into space to
Yes.
confront Dave. Dave's sitting in their little kitchenette area at the
Yeah,
table with the
and
chairs,
kinda
okay?
just kicks a chair out for
Casual.
him.
The way he kicked that chair out and just come on over here. You're just like me now,
Like,
right?
come on.
Like he had this look on his face, and all I was thinking in my head, wrong or not, you guys could judge me, but hell, all I could think of is like he kicked that chair over, Dave, to ask him to come sit down to talk about it. And it was like, how you like me now?
Yeah,
How you like me now, huh? Yeah, you see me? You see what it's like? I was like, oh, I was so
I know.
mad.
I was so
The
infuriated.
arrogance, the like,
Yes.
yeah, I can do this because I was hurt like that and you
Yeah.
didn't care. So I'm gonna hurt you like that.
I'm gonna
Like,
make you feel
yeah,
what
I'm gonna
exactly
make
what I
now
felt.
how does anybody who knows what that felt like, how twisted do you have to get in your head to actually do that to somebody else?
Oh,
That's where I know that
that is a
the
sick
character in
individual.
Dave was a psychopath. He
Oh,
was
yeah.
nuts. I don't think a human could do that to another human knowing
No.
what that feels like. Knowing
No.
what they just went through losing their family, how could they possibly for
How could
any
you do
reason
that?
do that to them, you know? Mm.
Yeah. And that was all it was about. Now you know what I feel.
Now you know, and just like, "How you like me now?" Right? Yeah, she don't
Uh-huh.
want me? She don't want me? Hmm, yeah, mm.
Okay.
I mean, it was
If I can't
rough.
if I can't have her, neither one of us can have her.
Neither was you. How dare you throw your happiness in my face? I'm
Uh-huh.
miserable. Yeah. What what a twist. I mean, I kind of saw it coming with the
I did
rejection and the
too.
way he acted, but I thought it would just be like he killed one of them. I didn't think both he would kill his whole family.
I
I
know.
thought maybe we would get a rescue scene. I don't know. Like it
Yeah.
was but now we have two men with no families in space
Yeah.
for 4 years, and they have to deal with each other, and I swear they're gonna kill each other.
Oh,
Like, there
yeah,
needs
they
to
will.
if there was an episode 2, it would be the long drawn out drama where they eventually get to the point where they crash
Yeah,
and kill each other, because there's
exactly.
no way 2 men could live together with this
No.
in a little tin can in space and not have another tragedy happen.
And
Like
now,
yeah.
like, they basically have ruined the mission because they don't either one have any place to go now.
Right, there's a good chance they'll be both crazy by the end of it anyway now. I
Yeah,
think actually right now with him going to sit in that chair, if he even does, like we don't even get to see if he goes to sit in
we
the chair. We
don't.
don't we don't get to see if he picks up that chair and bashes his head in, which may be every instinct that he has at the
That
moment.
could
He
be.
just got back from seeing his family dismembered all over his living room,
Yeah.
and he knows the man did it. The blood's on his replica. He knows Dave
Oh,
did it.
yeah.
And he knows Dave did it on purpose. This wasn't
Yeah,
like an
like,
accident. Mhm.
we see Cliff holding up his hands, and he is covered in
Mhm.
blood.
He is. I would say the photography in this, I really like. I mean, now that we know the ending, that's the ending. That's the cliffhanger. That's what we know.
Yeah,
Two men up there in space, like dealing with that, and we don't know if there was an investigation. We don't know if the mission gets canceled. Like there were questions. Record and
right.
I talk. Like I always watch it with someone. This time I did watch it with MC Record. He's there in the chat. We had questions on like what happened afterwards. Like, was there a mission? Why
Yeah,
wouldn't they cancel the mission? Why didn't they cancel the mission when the first guy's father died? I mean, family died, right? When the family all
exactly.
got killed, why would they leave him up there? Well, because for him, you got to remember how long these missions are. For him to come back, it would be the same amount of time.
Yeah, it would have.
And so why would they like bring him back? And like then the other question, whoops, yeah, oh yeah, record, right? Oops, I accidentally butchered your family. Oh well, he was so cold and so
I
arrogant. I
know.
get it. I get it.
He
Okay.
really was.
It was very Grace. It's emotionally upsetting. It is
It
to
is.
see them go through this. Um, I don't consider myself. I am squishy. I say that about the movies and stuff like I like horror films and everything, and like scenes that are like the bad things that happen to people. I
Right.
I do orate a lot. Like I go, "Oh my god," I express myself, I don't like it, I get uncomfortable. I'm moved by cinema a lot, I'm moved by series and movies. These
Right.
creators this is what I love about Charlie Brooker. As bad as all of this was, he made me feel, which is what
Oh, yeah.
I was involved. I felt it. I was upset. I was reacting. He moved me. He got me involved. And this is what I love about Brooker and hate about Brooker at the same time.
Yeah,
He
there wasn't
messes with my head, but that's what I want for
right.
entertainment. If I'm reading a book, watching a movie, following a series, this is what I want from you. This is what I need from you.
Yeah,
That's my money's worth, so to
and
speak, right?
there honestly wasn't a part in this that I didn't have some sort of almost a visceral reaction
Mhm.
to.
Mhm. Yeah. And it's it ends up I mean, we can talk till the cows come home about what we think Brooker actually wanted us to get from it, but there is actually for such a simple it is actually a simple story,
It is.
done simply.
Yeah,
There's a there is a lot I want to say about Aaron Paul's acting. When when he presumed that Dave was in him, when he was acting like Dave down there,
Uh-huh.
he changed the way he walked. He
He
changed
did.
his voice only changed a little bit, not
Just a
much,
little bit, not
but
a lot.
just a little bit that you could kind of feel something was off, you
It
know?
was more
Yeah.
about the, on his voice. What I picked up was it changed a little bit in the timbre, but
Mhm.
it was more about the rate and the inflections.
It was, and the words that he used to talk, like he did a very good job
Uh-huh.
of actually portraying the difference,
Yes.
like, almost even the way he set his shoulders back because
He I
Josh
was just
Hartnett
gonna say that.
had such a an arrogant stance of like,
Yes.
you know? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, he's taller, he's bigger, and even in the shorter body, he like Aaron Paul was like presenting that like that's how he is.
'Cause
And
uh,
so, yeah,
yeah, 'cause
it was
it was
great
almost
acting.
like
Yeah.
he was trying to make himself larger and the chest broader and the shoulders a little broader and held
Mhm.
back a little more, but he was also lighter on his feet.
Mhm. He was. He was. He didn't walk the same way through the house, and they portrayed
No.
that by them walking through the hallways from the room into the house. Like the way the cinema I have to give the cinematography a little nod here. I don't even have the name of the person. There is somebody listed as the photographer, but I
Uh-huh.
have to delve more and I will add it to the description because you know I love to praise the way
Right.
they tie Brooker stuff together. But two scenes particularly meant so much to me. First of all, the traumatic scene of Cliff when he's laying on the floor, and Kim mentioned this, the agony that's on his face, crying. He's in a fetal
Oh,
position, holding his knees, and they do a camera shot from across the room, floor length, over the
yes.
blood into his face. Like
Oh,
you just see the shiny blood all over the floor, and you just like to his face, so you know
you
what
can
happened.
feel the pain.
It was heart-wrenching, and
Yeah,
the
you
acting
feel
was
his pain.
superb. And
Oh,
actually, the way they filmed it, I appreciate that because
I did too.
we didn't actually have to see the bodies to
No.
understand the horrific nature of the crime that just happened. Like
Right.
we got it. And just I thought that was visually impactful. I thought that was a
It was.
great choice on their part and I wanted to praise it. The
It really
other
was.
one, the other one was as far as acting, when Josh Hartnett is very good at just doing that deadpan what look on his face,
Oh my
when
gosh.
and yet his eyes, you could see in his eyes,
Yes.
he's thinking, but his face has got no expression on it. Like, did that
It's
kind of
just
disturb
flat.
you a little? Like, oh
Yes.
wow, that was good for the character because it just
Yeah.
showed you how devious Dave was in thinking through what he
That's
really wanted
where
to accomplish.
that
Yeah.
was one of the first times that I really kinda saw the psychopathy of that character, was when he had that very flat affect,
Mhm.
but it was the eyes that gave him away.
It was the ice, and I do think he snapped after he lost his family.
Oh,
I don't
yeah.
think he was in his right mind. I think you're
No.
right about it him being totally damaged. And Liam brings a good point there. The reason Cliff is like just standing there looking at him and like not like we don't know what's gonna happen, but Liam brings up a good point. During the mission, we find out that Dave is the tech guy
Dave
and
is the
that
tech
this is a
guy.
two-man mission, and without
Yes.
one of them one because even when Cliff was explaining to Lana why it would be good for Dave to touch grass, it was for their benefit because the mission would be in bad shape if he lost his mind. Because you
Right.
need two people, minimal. You need both of them. It would never go. His
It
life
took
is in
2 people.
danger if this man takes his own life. If this
Yeah,
man kills himself, which they were worried he was going to do.
they were
Okay,
worried.
they did talk about that. They talked about unliving and all of this. Listen, they were they basically when he explained it to Lana, he was saying, in a way, it's protect us too, love,
Yeah.
because my life is in danger if that man is not there doing his job. Because
Uh-huh.
this mission, I can't get back on my own. This can't go on my own. So,
Yeah,
so Liam is right there. He needed him. He couldn't do anything to him. So they've got to stay together for the 4 years. That's what I mean about the twist at the end. Is like I can't
exactly.
even imagine those two in that can for 4 years.
For 4 more
Uh,
years, knowing what just
knowing what
happened.
happened, especially the
I
arrogance
can't
of that
either.
Yeah, like, "What you gonna do about it?" and push
Yeah,
that
just
chair over.
kicking that chair
Yeah,
out, like, "Have a
yeah,
seat. Let's
yep.
talk."
Mhm. Like, "You
Like
saw my
2 bros.
handiwork, what you gonna do about it now?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Traumatic, traumatic. I wanna bring up something else too. Okay, first, Mark, I love that idea there. Like, Mark says if I start making up words, he's gonna call me Claire GPT. Okay, go for it. Like, I've already earned the title. I made up a couple of words
Right?
already this week. I just by accident. I either pronounce them wrong or I put 2 words together that really don't belong together, and I think it
I
makes perfect sense,
I
but
do it all the time.
I don't know. I have no excuse. I'm actually not unintelligent. I just sound like it occasionally. I just don't have any excuse for it at all. But there's one thing that Glober Mom commented in the chat, and I'd like to bring that up because I also had a line on this, Kim, and I'm really curious to what you think about this part. Um, uh, Glober Mom says they killed the replica and his family, and she's talking about that Manson family type
Right.
mob that came in uh, because he was seen as unnatural,
Uh-huh.
meaning the replica. Like it shouldn't be. You can't be up in space and down here doing this. This isn't normal. This is weird. And I
Right.
think it was an analogy to interracial marriage and how it was seen in the 50s, 60s, and 70s. And
Yeah.
I say spot on
Uh-huh,
because I
exactly.
got the same vibe, that
I
whole
got the
60s
same
vibe
feeling too.
that was going on. Here we got the 50s clashing into the 60s with technology and all.
Uh-huh.
And then we've got this prejudicial, also just to make that, the vibe that was out there. This is exactly the 60s into the 70s with the Manson thing. Like,
It was,
come on,
you know
about them all being judgmental about things changing and how it's going and everybody getting judged for what they do. I actually think there's something to that. The actual word of saying it was unnatural, it was an abomination, it needed to be
uh-huh,
cut out, it can't happen, that these
and
children can't
yeah,
be raised this way. Like that's why they killed the kids.
and we
Like
used to
they
hear the
wanted, yeah.
same thing,
Mhm. And they said to the
and
woman, "You share your bed
with
with
that
this
thing
replica, with this
yeah,
with this unnatural man who's not your
yeah,
husband," and judge and jury, and then everybody killed. Okay, I did get that vibe. I do think that that was an under. It could be taken as an analogy or
I
as an
yeah, I kinda felt
undertow
that
of the
way too.
conversation. You know, just
Yeah.
about how it was back then.
Oh, yeah,
Totally.
I
Yeah.
definitely think so, and just a point of coincidence, the Tate LaBianca murders, they
Yeah.
took place in August of '69.
There you go. There you go. It is a nod to history. It is a nod to the way things felt back then. Because look at like how Lana can drive. Lana can do anything. She could even have a job
Uh-huh.
right now if she wanted to in
Yeah,
69. She's the wife of an astronaut. She doesn't have to work, but she could. She was reading on her own, but she's still obeying some of the simple life rules from the 50s. You know,
right,
if he's home, he rules the roost. Okay,
exactly.
whatever, he's the decision maker, but he's kind about it. He's not offensive about it. It was just the way it
No,
was
he's
back then.
not.
You could see the growing in the generate, like the growing in the years as we go, because she does get a lot of respect. She does get her opinion. She's reading everything in sight. But at the same time, she's still, shall I
Yeah,
say, in quotes, the wife. I
the
don't know.
wife.
Yeah. But that there was great respect and love there. I have to give him that. Like when he found out how lonely she was and how tempting it might have been, but she didn't do it. And here he is, he loves her, he's proud of her, but he has to own the hurt that he's put on her and how he
Right.
put her in that situation, and that he's got to own it, and he just says how sorry he is as he's holding her and everything like that. But Wrecker and I both pointed out he still didn't freaking kiss her. Like damn it, he's just holding her and
I
crying, and I get
know.
that she's upset, but she just told you how much she's craving your attention and everything, and all you do is give her a hug. Dude,
Yeah,
fail, 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 fail. But I
give her a
guess
kiss.
that was also a way of Brooker expressing how deep that divide was at that point, how he can't
I
get
think
there
so
yet.
too.
I do. But
Yeah, he's not
yeah,
ready.
yeah, it was just too much. It was very emotional, very emotional. I have to say
It
the
was.
acting, it was a ride. It was a very emotional ride. It was dark. There's
Uh-huh.
nothing The only hope I have is in the Lana character and how she kept her constitution. Um,
Right.
and because actually, even in the Cliff character, because he did believe her. And so for me, there, those are some shiny spots where I was like, yes, that was a good message to put out there.
I
I'm so
know, I
glad I
I
saw
kind
that.
of
Like
had
it kind of,
some
yeah.
I felt some redemption.
Yeah, a little bit.
I
But
did.
then again, that's Brooker's way of just getting me to stay around till I get the end so he could suck me in the
Exactly.
gut again while he ruins the whole damn thing. And
Exactly.
exactly. And he's so damn good at it, which is why I admire him so much because
And you know
as
what?
soon as I
He
want to
knows that
give up,
he knows he does this to us.
he does, because as soon as he knows we want to give up, he gives us this little thing in there
Yes,
we can hold on to. Maybe it
like
won't be so bad. Yeah,
this little
maybe
nugget to
yeah,
chew on.
yeah, maybe he's not looking to rip my heart out and like make my brain go all flippy floppy and do all this
Right?
stuff. Maybe he's really not. Like maybe it's gonna be okay. Nope. Nope, does
No,
it every time. He does it some way or another. This time he just did it with the heartstrings. It
he
really
did.
crushed me in my
Yeah.
in the fact that Dave could do that to another human being, knowing what he went through.
Yeah.
My only saving grace is thinking that Dave is nuts. But
That
now
was mine.
I'm worried for Cliff. Cliff is up
I
there for
am
4
too.
years. Like,
They're still up there for 4 years.
yeah, and here I am. Like you left me again, Charlie Brooker, with not a single answer at the
I
end of an
know. Come
episode.
on, Charlie.
I don't know what's going on. Charlie, you need to talk to me because I don't know what you meant.
I
I
need
don't
some
know what I'm supposed to
answers.
take away from this. I just know I'm upset. I just know I'm a little bit uh, annoyed and frustrated that I can't figure these things out. There are some plot holes in here that I wasn't expecting. We don't know why the boy was like
Yeah.
he was. We don't actually
No.
know why they moved the family. We don't really know what happened. Like, even give us a headline on those people. Like we did get a headline on those
We
people that they were
did.
in jail and everything, but it didn't say like for how long or whatever. But we don't get to find out what happened um to Cliff's family. We don't get to
Exactly.
find
We
out
don't
if
know.
charges are pressed, if they actually cancel the mission, if they are going to arrest him when he gets off. Like,
Right.
they could try and convict him while he's up there. They don't need him to come
Yeah.
down. They can try and convict him, but would they get Cliff's testimony? Would they do it by, space phone?
Right.
Video space phone. I don't know. But like there was just holes in it. There were just
Well,
holes in the story, you
and
know.
what I got to thinking about also, Claire, was okay, they're both using Cliff's dog tags, the replica dog tags.
Yeah.
So even if they're going to arrest one for the murder of Lana and the son,
How do
how
they
are they
prove
gonna
it?
know?
Exactly. Wouldn't that be a nice true
That
crime
was what
legal
I kept
update
thinking.
episode?
How would they
Yeah.
know this? How would they
Yeah.
know which one?
They have only Cliff's word that it was
Exactly.
Dave that did it because Cliff was out there. Unless they've got CC camera on the outside of the spaceship
I
that shows
know.
him knocking on that door at a specific time while the other one was killing his family. Mm,
Exactly.
I'd say there's no way to prove it. And I say also, what did Cliff do? Did he bury his family? Did he take care of that mess? Did he
Yeah,
just
we
leave it
don't
there?
know.
He just run back up there and not go down and deal with it? Does he drag Dave down there, shove his face in the blood, and make him clean it up? Hmm? Make him face what he did? Does he
And
try to psychologically break Dave? Like
I
all these
know.
things are going through my head. And this is what Brooker does to me, and this is why I love him. This is why I'm a fan. I'm never done with the episodes. Never.
No.
Not one single one have I ever been finished. I don't get
No.
to dust it off, put it away. I don't get to put it away
Uh-uh.
somewhere and leave it alone. I'm always got this stuff at the end. Mm.
Right. And
And that's
even
why
if I go back and watch it, I'm going to learn something new.
true, and this is why it is so rewatchable and it's classic. Like it stays
Yes.
the test of time. We can watch this episode, even though it's based like in 1969. We're relating to it now in
Yeah.
2023 mentality and history and everything that we know, society as a general, like in the climate of 2023. Okay, and yet in 10 years from now, we'll be able to watch it again and get a little different view on it and think maybe he was saying a little different something or see something else in it. It does just stand up to the test of time. I mean, for me, and it's probably all these unanswered questions that
Exactly.
does it. Yeah.
And, something that I kind of thought about, and I'm probably way off base, but
Mhm.
they almost seem when they're up in the craft
Mhm.
to be very futuristic. It seems very futuristic.
It is. Was that bed, like, weird? Like, I think there was
Yeah,
one thing that annoyed me. At first, I thought it looked like it was so comfortable, like, cause
I know.
it's like a concave seat, like, it's like a seat, like a concave, and you kinda fit into it, and it's got foam all around you.
Right.
And then I looked at the extension of the knee in the leg,
Yeah,
and how the hell do you stay like that for days with your knee?
exactly.
Like, with your
No.
ankle up above your knee all the way concave back. No. Like,
Uh-uh.
uh-uh. Mm.
No. But
I don't know.
then when they're coming back down to Earth to be with their families, where it's almost like we're transported back to 1969 to
Yeah.
maybe what some of us now would think, "Oh, it was a simpler time."
Yeah, this is it, Liam. The whole thing of it obviously not being set in the future was the kind of technology could exist constantly threw me out of the story. True, because we know it didn't. I think that's when our brains actually override Brooker as like, come on, dude. Like in 69, they couldn't have possibly. But
Right.
then that's what's good storytelling. Here he is. He put that technology with 69 mentality and made people deal with it.
Oh, yeah.
That's why the murder happened by the that gang. That's why they invaded the little murderous hippie dudes and women, and they were so
Right.
vile in how they talked and all. They actually
Oh,
repeated all the
yeah.
stuff. Like they actually played out the scene just like it was Helter Skelter. It was horrible. It was like
Uh-huh.
too close to home. But I get you. It is a little off kilter, Liam, but I think he did it on purpose.
Yeah,
Mhm. And
I do
true,
too.
this is a good portrayal of it. This one, it was Hallmark meets Tales from the Dark Side or the Twilight Zone. Yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Tales of the Dark Side. Yep, definitely. And Wrecker taking a stab at Brooker. Here's Brooker going, I heard you like good stories. And Brooker's laughing. Here's a good story that makes you feel more confused by the end. Yep, yep.
Right?
That's it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be Brooker. Like, and I think he enjoys it. I think he does it on purpose,
Oh, I
actually.
think so too. Yeah.
Yeah, and you know what, real, you know what, real, often in his stories, he does go into the tech more and explain more of it, and it is fascinating, and I do love
It
that part.
is.
But he did not in this, and he did it on
No.
purpose because of the setting of it being in the late 60s,
Yeah.
you know?
And, Claire, the only reason I thought that when they're up in the craft, it seemed more modern day, more futuristic, because
Mhm.
I noticed on one of their arms, it was almost like one of our smartwatches now.
Yeah, true,
It looked just like one of our smartwatches.
true.
And
It did
we
look
were
a it do
yeah,
just the way the face was too, and then the timing and
uh-huh.
everything.
And
Yeah.
we were actually told at the very beginning it was an alternate
Mhm.
1969,
It
which
was definitely
leads
something
me to
different.
believe it's an
Mhm.
alternate universe. So we were
Mhm.
actually probably sending the replica back in time.
Or just his version of it. Alternate could just mean
Yeah,
like, "Hey, this is not actually how the 69s were how it was in 69. I'm playing with it for the purpose of
uh-huh,
writing this like alternate." Liam says also one of the most unbelievable part was that there wasn't another replica to use. They're $1,000,000 machines.
yeah,
Yes, why didn't they just make the man another replica?
right,
He still had the dog tag. The dog tag has to actually I have one answer to that. The dog tag has to be somehow connected
hair,
with paired with the
uh-huh,
replica, and they're too far away to do it.
that's what I'm thinking too.
But why couldn't Cliff go down there with the because he can't, because he doesn't have the dog tag. You
He
can't
doesn't have the
physically
dog tag.
right, he can't physically do it. Okay.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's why he can't go back down there with them.
Mm, I have to say, it was very traumatic and
Yeah.
quite a failure on Easter eggs too. But, mm. Hey,
Yeah,
rabbits.
it
Mhm.
was, but I did catch a few, and
Rabbits wants a TLDR. Very shortly, we're emotionally traumatized. I
yes,
am upset with Charlie Brooker.
we're both upset.
Really still upset after watching it for the first time in all 25, 6 episodes that I've watched to date. And I am gonna forgive him because it was an emotional
Right.
ride. He gave me a little glimmer of hope, but when you watch it, it's a tearjerker. There
Yeah.
is no happy ending.
No.
It's all emotional drama. There's very little tech. It's based on a tech situation that we have no rhyme or reason for.
Right.
The cinematography is great. The acting is superb. And the
Oh, it
writing
is.
and the characters are very good. But there's some
Uh-huh.
holes in the plot that upset me. There's still a lot to talk about, like what he was actually trying to say. I still think it's worth a watch. Although
I do too.
although I was cursing at Charlie Brooker through the whole thing.
Yeah, I was too.
Hmm. Yeah.
And Mousy, they could not send the replicas to space because part of their experiment was to see how long-term space travel affected the human body. Plus, we already knew from when they would go outside of the
Hmm.
capsule, they had to
Hmm.
remove anything metal, and we know that the replicas had wiring and metal inside of them.
Yeah. It yeah. And Rabbits, each episode of Black Mirror is meant to stand on its own. You can
Yes.
watch any of them, of all of them. I've got a playlist of commentary on all of them, but they are all on Netflix right now, and I think you can find them.
Uh-huh.
You can still go to the very first episodes. If you want a list of ones that we think are like the best, when we did the pre-so season, we talked about three of the
We
best
did.
episodes. Charlie and I and Kim. And you could start with those. I mean, if you wanted. I mean, there it. I don't think there's an absolute. I mean, you can rate them. Everybody does have fun rating
Everyone
them from yeah,
yes.
but
In
I
fact,
don't think
Brooker
there's
even
one
talked
that's
about that.
yeah, I personally don't think there's not that one does not exist that's not worth the time, including the one I just
Exactly.
watched, which in my estimate is now going to be the worst episode to date. I am going to call it that. People are very unhappy about it. They're like, where the hell is Charlie Brooker and who wrote this episode for him? I mean, they're being cruel. They're
They
being cruel
are,
about this one.
and
This
he
one is
knows it.
probably going to get panned. And I think it's because of the emotional ride with no real
I think it
payout.
is too.
I mean, if you're gonna take me on that emotional ride and you're gonna mess with my head like that at the end, I want payout at the end
I
of at
need
least
something.
I need something. And all I got was tears.
Yes.
This Black Mirror thing is a thing, Rabbits. That's all I can say. Well, I hope you enjoy it. If you watch
Right.
one, I know Mr. Malort also didn't know about Black Mirror, and he watched a couple, and he panned a few of them, going, "Eh, that was a waste of
Yeah.
time." But then he did see what I saw in a couple of others. Not exactly what I saw, but he saw some good writing, and he saw something there. It is a good series. I think it's worth the time. I do,
Right.
and it's just going to be around for a while. Mm. We're on
Oh, yeah.
this is season 6. We've actually waited a few years for this one.
We waited almost
Yeah,
4
I know
years.
season 6. There's only 5. Actually, there's 5 episodes, I think, Glober Mom. I think I've
5.
got
We only
2
have 2
more.
more.
We do. And I
Yeah, because
am
there's 5, so we only have
yeah,
2 more.
and it's very short. And then we're going to do like a recap like of the best one of season 6.
Uh-huh.
You know, and actually anybody who else wants to talk about it after that, come up if you've got a favorite episode and you want to go over it. I do like to push this around for Brooker. I don't think he gets the attention that he deserves. He didn't in the beginning, that's
Right.
for damn
No,
sure.
he
The
didn't.
BBC canceled him before season 3.
I
Like,
know.
come on, what is wrong with that? What you know what they tried to do with
What
the
were they
Doctor Who too?
thinking?
What did they know?
They
Like, what did
did.
they know? Like, really, they
They
tried,
don't know
but they,
anything.
they just. I'm just saying. I think it definitely stands the test of time. I do hope there's going to be more afterwards. I did hear
Right.
rumors that there are that
Yes.
they got like 13 to 15 episodes out of him already.
Uh-huh.
So I do believe there'll be a season 7 or a part 2 to season 6. I don't know how
Yes.
you know how Netflix does that stuff. I
Right.
don't know what they're doing. But
But
it's not
Brooker seems
unusual to be more than a year in between.
yeah, Brooker seems to like to keep his seasons very short in the like, he doesn't seem to like an episode or a season that has, like, 8 to 10 episodes in it. He likes to
Mhm.
keep those shorter.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe the next will be season 7.
Mm. And
But
everybody is upset like we are on the fact that there was no backup replicas, that they
right.
couldn't just decode the tag to another replica somewhere. Wrecker's right. They had the technology to build that fascinating machine that is almost human perfect, and you can put your sentient being in it. Why the hell can't you clone the dog tag over to another one? I get it. It doesn't make any sense. I do. And that part does disturb me. It just didn't fill it up. It just didn't. It's one of those plot holes that I was talking about. They just leave it like, why? You could have did a
I
little bit
know.
better. The Glober mom says the one episode that sticks in her mind is the one where the mom goes to get a stuffed animal for her child and the mechanical security.
Monkey.
That is Charlie Welch's number one. That
Oh,
is
that was Metalhead.
Metalhead. Metalhead.
Yeah, goes to get it for,
Yes.
like, her nephew.
Yes, that is one of the top ones. And Charlie, in our pre-show episode, which is a couple before this, like I said, I got a playlist of all of this there. They're labeled by what episode we're actually covering. So if you want to check it out, just what we had to say about it. We don't show clips. We do talk about the plot line. We do talk about what happens. So spoilers. Like I'm just not all about that. Oh, we got to keep it secret and don't, like, no, watch it, come talk about it. That's what this is about. It's review and
Uh-huh.
commentary about what we actually just saw. And in praise of Charlie Brooker always. It's hard to get me to say anything bad about Brooker. It is. Even though right
Yeah,
now we're not friends. Yeah. Charlie Brooker and
right.
I are not friends right now, Kim. Like if he called me,
I know.
I would have to hesitate before I answer the phone. But y'all know I would answer
Well,
that damn phone. You know I would answer that damn phone.
oh,
But let
yeah,
me tell
you
you,
would.
I would be looking at it a little squirrely at first, a little side eye at first, like, now you're calling me, right? Now you're calling me? Yeah. But I would answer. Damn well I would answer.
Oh,
I'd be over
yeah.
the moon. But,
And I
Brooker
think
ain't never
once
gonna
you
call me. So,
listen to the podcast, you're gonna have a different feel.
mm,
I really do, because it gave me a different feel. It made me
mhm.
almost understand why this episode was the way it was, because that was where I was having so much trouble wrapping my mind around it.
True, true. Yeah. Clover Mom's like, "Oh, you would give him a piece of your mind." Yeah, you know what? I often fantasize about what that concept. Like, I'm a little weird. I get it. I'm just a big nerd girl. I love my writers, my direct, like I like my creators. I'm fascinated by what they do. I could never do it. I want to, like. I'm just. He's one of my heroes. I can't not say it. Like when I had to pick 5 great men for my shows, you damn well know, bruh, that Charlie Brooker was on that list. Like I can't say enough good about him. But if we did
Right.
have that conversation, you're right. I don't know if I'd give him a piece of my mind, but I would be asking why a lot. Why, Charlie? Why? Explain this to me. Like it would be a difficult. Like I often fantasize what that conversation would be like. Would I even be able to talk? Like would I
I
would I just
know.
be like, I would want to hear everything he had to say. He might actually get me to just not talk at all. Wouldn't that be something? Like, this kind of is
Claire.
unbelievable.
Claire.
Yeah.
That would
Yeah.
never happen.
It would never happen. It's impossible. It's like, no, not in this world, not in this lifetime,
Although
Mm-mm.
Charlie likes to talk. He really
Yeah,
does.
yeah. Mm.
Um, okay, I had a couple of things, Claire.
Go ahead.
Did you notice throughout this episode that the novels in the episode actually foreshadowed things in the plot line? Like
The
we Yeah, like we started out, the book that Lana was first reading was Airport by Arthur Haley.
Okay.
And that is where the general manager has very tense relationship with his wife due to his job demands, similar to Cliff and Lana.
Ah, okay. Next
That was
novel.
the very first book.
Okay.
Second
You know,
novel was Valley of the Dolls by Jacqueline Suzanne.
right, which is all about
It's all
freedom,
it
sexual
is,
expression, the need to connect with people, being
it is,
disassociated. Yeah.
but it's also about the female protagonists, which were portrayed by Susan Parkins, Patty Duke, and the late Sharon Tate. Actually, all of them are late now.
Mhm.
But, the female protagonists struggle with their marriage, sex, loneliness, and mental health
Drugs.
issues.
Mental
and
health and drugs.
drugs.
Yep.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And it was
Mhm.
actually offering Lana an escape. It gave
Mhm.
her a taste of her old life in the city,
Mhm.
and, that was when she was actually reading that when she asked Cliff if they could host a party, to which
Right.
he declined.
That it would yeah, he was like, "I'll think about it." He
Uh-huh.
didn't actually say no. It was one of those,
No. He
let
said,
me
"I'll
think
think
about
about."
it."
Yeah.
But his whole body language was like, "I'm just
It was
hoping you
like,
forget
"Oh,
about this.
no."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm hoping you forget about
Yeah.
this and we don't have to talk about it again." Yeah.
Right. And
Um,
then the next one was The Illustrated Man by Ray Bradbury, and David actually brought the book onto the mission. It was
mhm.
up on one of the, um, shelves or something, and it's actually a series of 18 different short stories, and it was
Yep.
also Brooker's nod to Bradbury.
And yeah, because I mean, Bradbury is amazing also.
Oh,
But
yeah,
yeah,
and he was
I
into the
like that
whole
because there are stories in
dystopian.
there about like the dystopian and about this guy pretending
Right.
like I get it. I get it. And I thought that was kind of I see what you mean by that.
Yeah,
And Liam
and they both kind of present the dangers of the tech world
mm,
also.
yeah.
And then the last book was The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by
Mhm.
Robert A. Heinlein,
Mhm.
and this is about a lawless colony on the moon that leads a revolution against the earthbound oppressors.
Yep. And that's kind of like what it's going to be like up there for
And
4 years. Yeah, I
also
get it.
in
That's
in that book, the Lunar Society has 2 men to every 1 woman.
Oh, there you go. See these nods. I wasn't even thinking about that, Kim. That is like a really nice thread
Well,
through the whole freaking episode. Thank
I
you for
knew
that.
that
Mhm.
somehow every one of those books,
Yep.
so I actually went through and
Mhm.
caught every single title, but then I had to do my research on the book because I
Mhm.
hadn't read The
No, but you
Illustrated
found
Man.
the thread. You found the thread. You found a way to connect them. There's a reason. See,
Yeah,
Brooker uses props for reasons. They're just not additional. They are
no,
specific. Every prop placement of something, it's specific
it
for a
is,
reason. So if you do see the characters reading a book or listening to music, it does actually have something to do with what he's trying to
and,
convey. They're very good
even
about that. That's
yeah,
what makes it so like a niche cultish kind of fad thing is because of
exactly,
his the way that he does that. And Liam also brings a good point that I was also thinking about the Valley of the Dolls because I the only book that I actually focused on was the Valley of the Dolls one. I really didn't pay attention to the other three because to
uh-huh,
me, like Liam is saying, the Valley of the Dolls not only was about all of that with the characters, it was more about them all pretending to be something else to get ahead. In order
exactly,
to fit in or move ahead in life, they were denying who they were, which was a big theme here with Dave and
right,
Cliff. Okay, a big theme. And also with
uh-huh,
Lana having to deny what she needed and having to settle for
right,
less to get by right now, and how it was, slowly killing her. Just like
yeah,
the characters in Valley of the Dolls. Being in that situation, she knows she agreed to it. She knows it's what's best for her family. It's just a
right,
temporary thing, but it's slowly depleting her in
it
killing
is,
her and
you
taking
can
away
see
her
it,
essence, and you can see it just
yeah,
stripping her down, and she's lonely and bored, and she doesn't have enough. She's not living, she's existing.
no, she's
Yeah.
not.
Mm.
Also, something about the song "Beyond the Sea," which was
Yeah.
originally done by Bobby Darin,
Yep.
and this was the French version. I forget the artist, but the song, if you look at the words and you really listen to them, whether you can speak French and understand it, or you go to the English version, the song is about the distance and the ongoing longing for reconciliation and
Uh-huh.
reunification.
It's a love song
It
about
is.
a couple getting together, and it's very romantic. Oh god, the whole thing is totally romantic. And
Yeah.
we hear it with Cliff and his not Cliff, with Dave and his wife in the beginning. And
Uh-huh.
then Dave brings it.
And then
He
Dave
actually
with Lana.
asks for it. He asks for
Yeah,
it. They had to get it and put
they
it
had
in
to
the
go get
studio
it.
for him. And he
Yeah,
played it for Lana, and it moved her. She was walking away. She heard it and she was
he
like,
was.
it is very the words and all, it
It's
is
a
quite
very
emotional.
touching song.
It is also very manipulative of Dave. Let's just
Oh,
say
yes.
I didn't appreciate it. I didn't. I
No,
was like, God damn it! How dare he? There goes
I
that
know.
something. There you go. Whoop. But she did stick to her. guns, so to speak.
She
She
did.
did not falter in her beliefs, and she weighed out the risk, and it wasn't worth it. And I was glad to see that in the character. That I was
Right.
very happy about. Yeah,
Yeah.
Manipulation Central, definitely, Liam. I am glad that you guys watched it and are contributing to concert.
I
Let me just
know.
tell you how grateful I am for that. Chatters, all of you that actually watched it or contributed to it in any way, those of you that are getting interested in it and want to know what
Yeah.
episodes like, you don't know how good that makes me feel. This is just a nod to something that I like. I knew it wasn't going to be terribly popular, right, Kim? But
Right?
I feel very strongly about it. I do.
Yeah.
It just, I really think it needed more play, and I don't regret a single coverage. I mean, whether I got
No.
5 views or 1,000 views, I don't care. I
I
do this for the
know.
sheer pleasure of loving Brooker style, and actually, really, it's entertainment at its best when it moves you, feels you, and makes you think later.
And makes
Even
you
if it
think.
makes me scream why into the
I
void
know.
for
Why,
forever.
Charlie?
Okay.
Why?
Just why? It has done its job. And there's
Yeah.
nothing better in entertainment than that. If you're a creator and somebody says that about you, you've done it. You're a success. That's it.
Exactly.
It's it. If and not that I'm the litmus test for whether they're good or not, but if you move me, you have a fan. You have a fan, and
Right.
I'm loyal, and I am loyal, as everybody can tell by this series. I'm loyal AF about that, and
Uh-huh.
I'm definitely a Brooker fan. I will let other people talk bad about him all they want,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I will find a way to try to get his message because I really
Yeah.
think he's doing it right.
I do too. And I think that he does have an important message to get out there for us. I really do.
Yeah. That's sad, Mark, but I can see it. I can see it in many workers in many different industries that have to give up their lives in some way or the way that they live their lives with their families, put them on hold, actually leave them, have a delay. And it's for money and success and to get forward. And then, to have terrible things happen, the risk that is there. Um, you know, we see it in some of the most dangerous jobs that there
We
are, you
do.
know we see it in law enforcement. We see
Yeah.
it in firefighters. They don't have to leave for long periods of time. But we've got the ones that go to Alaska to work on the pipelines.
Uh-huh.
Work in the mines, as Mark is saying, in mines all over the world. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, and talking shit about others means you're doing good, and so am I. No, Rebbies, I don't know what that means. I don't think that Charlie Brooker is talking crap about others when he
No.
does these shows. I don't exactly know what you mean. I know you have a point there, and I'd like to know what it is. I don't think I
Right?
mean that. I don't think I mean talking crap about others is doing good.
No.
No.
I
Um,
don't think so either.
I know Glober Mom. I always watch it again after hearing other people's views. Oh, chat like okay. I see. I don't know. Like yeah. Um, it is a love story in a way. They were all in love at one time,
Yeah. They
and it's a
were.
tragedy. But it is absolutely a tragedy. It is
Mhm.
definitely a tragedy, for sure. The love there is love. It is a
There
drama
is.
about a love story. He does lose his family in the beginning. There was great love there. Cliff and Lana absolutely love each other. They
They do.
stay stay united until the end. But it is definitely an unmitigated story about tragic loss and just messed up mentality
Oh,
and
yeah.
how the tragedy of one person can spill over and affect so many lives in so many tragic ways.
Right.
Um Dave's dealing with his tragedy and what happened to him could not help but affect everybody around him. And it destroyed Cliff and Lana's life.
It
Period.
did.
Mm, yeah.
It really did.
Mm. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it. So I guess that besides the two, do you have like you want to do your a couple of those Easter eggs? I know there was not many of the
There
Easter
weren't
eggs there.
many, And
Yeah. But I'll
you
let you
know,
do them, 'cause you're the queen.
and
You are the queen.
thank you,
The Easter
thank
not
you.
Easter egg queen, reference egg queen, we decided, right? Like,
No,
reference
okay,
egg queen.
no,
Okay.
listen. I looked
Mhm.
this up.
Okay.
Easter eggs in movies and shows are hidden. I can't even read my writing now. Are hidden and sometimes not hidden clues or inside references or jokes, which are used to reward observant fans and create connections
Well, we
between
discussed that
various
in the
parts.
in we
So
did,
they
we
are
discussed that.
called Easter eggs.
They are, but they've changed the word. They've changed the meaning of the word, like happens after years and years. But that is not the original definition of Easter eggs
No,
in
it's
regards
not.
to
The
media.
original
It's
was
not.
for gaming.
It was for gaming.
The
Like
original
and
was
so
for
like I get
gaming.
that. I think we all are clear on that. So let's not
Uh-huh.
like yeah. I think we were clear. We
Yeah,
discovered because language does
yeah.
evolve. We know that there are plenty
It
of
does.
words that the meaning has now changed from generation to generation. There
Right,
are words that used to mean nothing that we can't even say anymore. Okay?
right.
Like and there are words that the definition changes and evolves. And Easter egg is one of them. But I thought we
Yeah,
agreed that they were more like references and we were going to quote
they
we
are.
actually all right. So I did see that many of I you know what many of the writers out there doing commentary in article actually agree with us now. They now call them Easter
Yeah,
eggs and references.
uh-huh,
Easter eggs
they
and
are.
references, quote unquote.
But
Yeah.
but
So there you
Charlie
go.
still calls them Easter eggs, so
Yeah, I know, but on this
okay,
kick, yeah.
okay, so there really weren't many.
Mm-mm.
So when David and his family went to the cinema and they were standing outside talking to a young couple, there's a
Mm-hmm.
now showing poster over to the side
Yeah.
of them,
Oh, you caught
and
that one? Yeah.
yes,
Okay.
Space
Mm-hmm.
Fleet, and that was the show that led to an obsession by the character played by Jesse Plemons, which was Robert Daly, and USS Callister, which was season 4, episode 1. And Aaron Paul was also in that episode.
Yeah. He
Uh-huh.
was. He actually, yes, he was actually.
Yeah,
He had a
and
vocal, only his voice
he
though.
did. And
And the
he
USS
actually
Callister is one of is an episode I really enjoyed.
yeah,
I
you
really
did
enjoyed that.
enjoy that one. I think we
So
all did.
mhm.
But
Rabbit, yeah, I was gonna
Aaron
just
Paul
say,
yeah.
I'm sorry, D
No,
Rabbits,
go ahead.
watch that USS Callister. That's the one. Let me
Yes,
just type it in the
it's
chat
a
for you.
great one.
Why don't you start with that one because it's a little techy. It's a little
It
nod to
is.
Star Trek stuff. As long as you don't hate Star Trek, I don't think you get off. It's very weird. It's got good acting
Yeah.
in it. Yeah.
Oh, Jesse Plemons was amazing.
Yeah.
But Aaron Paul actually went to Brooker after filming that one and said, "I want a larger part next time." And Charlie remembered
Yep.
and
Mm,
gave him this. So,
yeah.
um,
I
uh,
liked him in Friday Night Lights. Do you remember that series?
yes,
I love
yes,
I know. I just love this is when I used to watch television series. I
I
kind of gave
know.
up after Buffy and Friday Night Lights and I just like went away from it.
Yeah,
But I remember watching Monty Python and Friends and stuff
I
like that.
loved Monty
When you
Python.
actually couldn't you had to actually tape this stuff if you were going to watch it later
Yeah,
through other devices because your TV wouldn't do it for you or you couldn't
no,
find it. Or you had to organize with your friends that you wouldn't go out with them at 10 o'clock at night because you were sitting
right.
on your ass on the couch watching Friends.
Watching
Or you
Monty
invited your
Python
friends
or something.
or you went to friends parties, viewing parties, and
Yeah,
stuff. And
we had
it's
viewing
yeah,
parties.
yeah, things like that. But no, TV's changed since then. Like
Yeah.
it's just you can watch anything you want anytime you want now, whenever.
Oh, yeah.
I don't my TV is just a monitor now. Like I don't even use it like television anymore.
I
Yeah. But
know.
there was one more. I found one.
Okay,
You want to
okay.
know the
What was it?
disgusting one I found? I found
I
that
have a
those
feeling I know.
those awful cultists had the nerve to put the white bear system in blood in David's house in the first murder scene.
Yes, on the wall.
Yeah. And I was like, "Damn it."
And
Mm, mhm.
yeah, did you also notice that it was kind there was kind of the same symbol upside down on um Zappa's face, the or Kappa's face. It was very similar
Yeah.
at the
You
very end.
Mm, mm,
And when Lana was reading the news article about the loss of David's family in the newspaper, I believe it was Boston paper,
mhm.
there was also that symbol from White Bear to the left of the article.
Yeah. The white bear symbol shows up a lot. It
A
does.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's all I got.
I know. I know Liam. Mm, the same
Yeah.
name as one of his puppies.
I know
Mm,
all of those names that were used were Greek. And I mean, I don't want to give it away for those of you that haven't listened to the podcast. Go listen to the podcast, or if you want to
yeah.
wait until
I'm gonna
the
post
next
that one
2
more time.
episodes,
Yeah.
if
Yeah.
you wanna wait till the next 2 episodes to listen to it, go listen because
Mm,
it was brought up in the podcast about the Greek names that were used for the cultists, and Charlie it just kinda hit Charlie like, "Oh my gosh, I did do that." So, he had a very
mhm.
interesting take on it.
Yeah. Okay, let me see if that will print. Okay, there you go. 1 hour, 6 minutes into this is the Brooker
Yes.
interview with these guys, and it is in regards to this latest episode and the
It's
newest
actually
season.
the whole season.
It's the whole season. He's going to talk for
Yeah,
about an hour, and it's well worth it to give you a little bit more insight.
yeah,
But I think on
and
that, Kim, I think that's it.
I
We'll
think
be back.
so.
I think we'll be back next week.
Next
I'm
week
not
with
giving up.
Maisie Day,
Yes, Maisie Day, and then we after
Maisie
that we have
Day,
Demon 79, which I'm
Demon
really
79.
yeah. But on that, oh geez, thank you, Kim, for getting
Thank
me
you,
through
Claire.
another 2 hours of Brooker without giving up. In
I think
I
we
want to
both needed
yeah,
to be
I
here for each other.
I wanna shout out to, MC Wrecker for actually tolerating me screaming in his ear while we watched this and actually agreed to actually watch another one with me, so thank you for that. You're a brave, brave person. I do, and I appreciate it because I do hate to, not to watch these, and Kim and I have decided not to watch anything together and to not even talk about the episodes until we actually come out
Yeah,
here, which is
we
different
haven't
for us
we
because
haven't talked since last Saturday.
I know since last Saturday we've been kind of well, I've been kind of busy. I know you've been kind of busy,
Yeah,
and then not wanting to talk about Brooker.
I
It's
know.
hard. It's hard because Kim and I talked about this all
Yeah,
the time.
I get a DM this morning going,
Oh no, I don't
"I
know.
haven't talked to you. Are you
Yeah,
okay?"
no, listen, I am okay. And Wrecker's now playing like he's deaf in the because I yelled in his ear. Okay, yeah, Wrecker, I get you. Okay, but you can play that way. That's okay because
Right.
I did yell a lot. I was annoying, and I do. I apologize, but I can't help it. There's nothing. It's gonna be like that. I might as well just tell you the real deal. It's gonna be like that if you watch shows with me. I can't help it. Oh, thank you, Glober Mom. It does take us for a ride, and that's very, very complimentary. I appreciate
Yes.
it that you and the fact that you enjoyed it. That makes us very happy. The fact that other people enjoy it as much as we do and enjoy talking about it, that makes I can't speak for Kim, but for me, that makes it all worth it.
Oh,
Uh,
it does. Definitely.
yeah, it does. So we'll be back. We'll be back next week. We'll be back same time, 9 o'clock on Saturday. We're gonna finish
Yes.
this out and yeah, Liam, there was a lot of you see, Liam, were you talking to the screen? I
Uh-huh.
was yelling at the screen. I'm a yeller at the screen. I know that they can't hear me, but it doesn't matter. It
But it
doesn't matter.
helps.
Okay.
Mentally, it helps.
Yeah. All right. Let's just end this then. We're going to
Let's
end it
end
on
it,
a good
Claire.
night. All
Yeah.
right. Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you,
Thank
chat.
you,
Thank you,
Claire.
mods. And yep, here we're gonna go. I
All right.
enjoy my one of the few outros and intros that I actually did myself still on the
I
channel. Here we
know,
go.
and I'm so
I know.
proud.
Oh, thank you, Kim. Thank you. All right. Bye, guys. See ya.
Bye.